Mir, what's up, man? I like to
Doing
start my interviews off by asking how you are. How is everything going on in your life, mentally, physically, and career-wise?
mentally, everything's great. You know what I mean? Can't call it. Uh, career-wise, everything's great. Just dropped one of my favorite projects, personal favorite projects, and just happy the world's listening to it right now.
Of course, man. I know I've been locked into it. I've been listening to it the past couple of days, and it's great, dude. Well done all around. Tell me a little bit about your life growing up in South Jersey, and where you're at now.
Growing up in South Jersey, pretty much like my outlets was like drawing, English. You know what I mean? I was really into like storytelling. My grandpa being an educator, it was like really easy for me to like teach myself how to learn, teach myself things like how to read and write at an early age. So I was like real advanced uh, reading wise as far as like picture prompt. You know how they used to have like picture prompts on standardized tests and stuff like that. That was like something that I used to get mad excited for. Just being able to create like your own world, just create just something just off of face value. That's pretty much what I was fascinated by. But as far as like just growing up in Camden specifically, it was like any other inner city. I feel like you gotta have tough skin, especially just being from Jersey, because we some rude motherfuckers. You gotta be able to know who you are, or the streets gonna let you know for you. It's pretty much it. You know what I mean? You just gotta walk in your own shoes. You gotta understand who you are as a person.
Exactly. Yeah. Being from South Jersey myself, definitely need to have tough skin because, you need to be strong in scenarios that, might be different than somebody that isn't familiar with the area, with the culture. And you got to be smart. That's another thing. You got to know your place and time. And if you aren't, things could go wrong. Um, I was watching, I watched it before. I watched it again just to recap. In an interview in 2018, you said that people tell me that I stopped them from committing suicide. I thought that was a super powerful moment in your career. Honestly, for me personally, fast forward to about a week ago, you dropped your album, Melody Monster. In 1111 voicemail, you can hear the terrible pain in the girl's voice after seeing you posted that you were done making music. Does that cause pressure in your career that others depend so much on your music in their lives?
Um, I feel like that did add a little bit to what I was going through. It was at a point where I felt like I was living for everybody else and not myself. It
Mhm.
was more so like I was making all of this pain music, and people were enjoying it, and I was helping other people. But I felt like the fans didn't understand that that pain still comes from a real place. So
Yeah.
even though that I put it on the song and it's helping others, like I still have to deal with where that came from. So it was at a point where it was like, yeah, it's cool that like I'm helping a lot of people, but it was at a time where I needed help and music wasn't like the outlet for that. It was kind of like the thing that was causing a lot of the pressure and a lot of the stress. So I was caught in like in between, do I want to stop making music just to like free my mental health? Or do I continue doing it for the betterment of everybody that I'm helping along the way? Because even while I was not making music, people were telling me that my old music was helping them through tough times, just like randomly. And it was stuff like that that would just keep me going. And that's why I continue to do it today, because I understand the power of music, specifically for myself when I was going through it and I was listening to certain artists.
Yeah, of course. And I'm glad that you brought that up, that, you personally know that it's happened to yourself where you listen to other artists and they've helped you through a lot of things. And dude, like your music personally to me has gotten me through a lot of things too, just growing up. Cause I've been listening to you since freshman year of high school. I've known of you for a long time in my life. I know you haven't known me, but personally I've known you. And I know this past year's been a tough year for you, a loss from a brother, and you find a way to keep delivering the art to the people. What keeps your drive going in this types of scenarios, and COVID, and the other situation that has happened?
Um, I understand that the job's not done. You feel me? Like we doing all of this for a reason. So like to stop, it's kind of like counterproductive, and it's kind of like you just did all of that for what? Like all of those years, all of that money, all of that energy. You know what I mean? All of those shows, all of those connections to the fans. You just like, why would you just stop? So just understanding that we got a lot more ahead of us is pretty much what keeps us continue doing what we do.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's great. What inspired you to write Shorty Stories?
So Shorty Story is like a collection of four separate stories that I heard from people or that I may have experienced like part of the stories. So I just put them all into one entity that didn't have a name, so nobody pretty much gets implicated in anything. And I wanted to test my lyrical ability around that time. I wanted to see if I can, because I knew I could always like tell a story, but I wanted to see if I can invoke more so emotion with these type of stories, and more so of like a movie element to it. You know what I mean? I wanted to give you, it was kind of like shades of what I did with Melody Monster before I did Melody Monster. I always wanted to be able to either star in the movie or just produce some type of film. And the easiest way for me to do that right now is just through music. So like every now and then I'll take a beat and just decide I'm gonna do a story to this. And Shorty's story was just one of those beats that when I heard, I was like, it's real eerie, it's real dark. I was like, I want to say something that's going to have people feel that murkiness to the beat that already was there.
Yeah, I was talking to Brendan probably about a week ago, and one thing I told him about you that is like I think one of the craziest things is how you really paint a picture with your rapping and your your artist ability of speaking your words. Like Shorty Story, you listen to that and you're like, I've never been through something like that, but you picture and you're like, wow, like where's that been? Where has Mir been that's, that he can deliver that story? I think it's one of the best, yourself is one of the best storytelling rappers that I've listened to myself.
Appreciate that.
Of course, bro. What is it like having such a good relationship with unbelievable producers like Mike Zombie, Kenneth Moose, Kev Rogers, and Steve Livy?
Each one of those guys brings something really unique to the table that I can't get from another producer. As far as like me and Kev, we started Southside together along with Ish Williams. So me and Kev was like one of the first producers that I ever had that was like somebody that I continuously can go to and they'll make beats for me on the spot. So he was there for me when I was really starting to get into taking music super seriously.
Yeah.
I met Mike years ago. I think my first time when I went to South by Southwest, I met Mike in person. And ever since then, like Mike has been one of my closest friends. He's helped me tremendously in the music industry. He's always there whenever I need a beat or I'm working on an album. Like he goes out of his way to make sure I'm laced with most fire beats. Steve Levy, I met in 2012. He pretty much got me started into taking music seriously as a business. Like I didn't even know what ASCAP was. I didn't know what a BMI was. And he put me on game to making sure my business was in line before I was just jumping into the creative aspect of making music. And Kenneth Muse is one of the guys that pretty much helped me perfect the sound that I have now. Along with Kev and Ish, he helps engineer a lot of our records. And what you hear today is a lot of what Kenny pretty much helped create.
Cool. Yeah, no, I know that all four of those guys are spectacular and super talented. And I know I've been around listening to you, so I mean they've done a great job perfecting your sound, like you said with Kenneth. Your sound's one of a kind, for sure. Does a lot of your albums tie into each other? As in like, could they possibly have something like meaning wise together?
I try to create like a little universe within my my music and my catalog. So like Who's Watching the Kids was pretty much an introduction to everything that I had envisioned. Who's Watching the Kids led into Camden. Camden was just me introducing the city and where I was from. Macaroni Tony was kind of like me. If you listen to that album, it's more so stage songs, performance records, real lively. You know what I mean? I was trying to give you more of a show presence, less of like the slower Shorty Story and stuff like that. Show you that I can really give you the energetic records, the records that can be seen on like billboards and stuff like that. That just led into Who's Watching the Kids too, which was a fan favorite. So I know I wanted to revisit that and kind of give them those vibes again. But all of that just built up to Melody Monster, and that's Who's Been Watching the Kids the entire time. And the Melody Monster is just a symbolism or a metaphor for trauma that we all experience, things that we all go through. And we pretty much confide in music to help us get through it, whether it's to help us cry, to help us laugh during a tough situation, whatever you might need to help you get through those tough times. And the Melody Monster is just I don't know if I'm using the word right, it's a euphemism for all of that. It just embodies all of that. Awesome. And I don't know if you've seen the show Big Mouth.
I have not.
So Big Mouth is like this Netflix show where they have like, they follow like these preteens and they have these personal hormone monsters, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like they only can talk to their own hormone monsters, but they're all specific to their personalities and what they need at that time. So that's kind of how I look at the Melody Monster. We all got our own personal Melody Monsters, and they come out when we need them.
That's sick. That's awesome. Being from South Jersey, there's artists like Ant Clemens, there's artists like Fetty Wap from, northern side of it. And then another up and coming artist, Chris Patrick. I don't know if you hear of him. He's fire. What is it like being from South Jersey and selling out the TLA? I thought that is like a really cool thing and a milestone in your career. I know Belly brand is a big thing there too. What is it like selling out the TLA?
That's something that we meaning like me, Ish, and Kev, like talked about since we first started making noise in Philly. Because, South Jersey doesn't have any venues or stages that you can really showcase your talent. So closest thing you got is Philadelphia. So we would go there probably like 2 times, 3 times a week and just shut down every show we had for whatever bill. And we always said, like, just driving down South Street, you always wanted your name up there. Like, yo, they're performing here. So I was like, one day we're just going to have our name up there. And for it to come to fruition and then sell it out and, like, do the crowd walk, all of that was just like, it was a dream. The whole time I was up there, it was like I was just feeding off of the energy from the crowd. And definitely want to go back there when the world opens back up. That was one of my favorite shows to perform.
For sure, bro. I definitely want to, if you got a concert, I'm definitely coming back up for that. Yeah, for sure. On April 26, 2020, you posted an Instagram of one of my favorite drawings of yours. The caption was, "Have a nice trip." Can you tell me what inspired you to draw that picture?
So I was tripping on acid. So acid helped me get through depression. Like when I was going through like my dark phase, I was doing acid probably like every 2 weeks, So I drew that picture when I was peaking on one of my acid trips. And it was just like, I just wanted to draw what I feel. Like I didn't really have any set idea on what I wanted to draw. So I started off just drawing what I thought I looked like at the time, what I felt I looked like. And that just transformed into like, I was just letting my mind just pick the colors. Like whatever color attracted me, I was just using that and just drawing with it. And all of it was just like, just how I was feeling, like how my shirt was just turned into the space. And like, there was a black hole and then there was like a wormhole. It was a lot I was thinking about as far as like duality, life, death, rebirth, everything has a meaning, that type of thing. And I feel like just off of that drawing, it kind of helped me get into what I wanted to create with the Melody Monster, because the whole album was based off of an acid trip. So if you listen to it, you can kind of hear how it's like all over the place, but it's still cohesive. So yeah, that was just another way for me to give an outlet to my emotions, was like drawing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've come to really appreciate your art, is your hand drawing is like unbelievable, like top to bottom. And I know when I was watching the interview from 2018, you were explaining that's what you started with, and poetry. That was the other thing.
Right.
You didn't know what you were trying to express yourself, so you started rapping, and that's how you got what you were trying to explain in drawing in words, which was honestly another really cool thing about your growing up phase. Is your team more like a business, or is it more of a brotherhood?
It's more of a brotherhood than a business. We still be trying to get the business together. But it's more so family. Everybody that I put on the quote unquote team is somebody that I consider like a friend. It's really hard for me to trust people on the outside to handle my business. So I rather like my friends do the research, or we trial and error, we figure it out together. know what I mean? It's easier to pay people that way when they're your friends, you know?
Yeah, of course. I know that 28 and Manny are your cover art guys. Do you have a part in the process of the creation for your cover arts? Because I know, like I just said, you know, your drawings are amazing. Do you have a process of the creation?
Yep, every time. So
Cool.
20 and Manny both went to the same high school I did. They were like the class underneath me.
Okay.
So they went off to college, they did their thing, but they realized they didn't want to end up in the conventional job. You know what I mean? They saw what I was doing and they just offered a hand at one point, like anything we could do to help. And I just decided to make a art department, like an art team, because I trust both of their artistic talent and their skills. So like anytime I do a cover art, I usually have an idea. I'll either draw up like a quick sketch or we call it thumbnails, like when you got a small box.
Yeah.
You just pretty much get the whole composition of what you want. I'll do that and put it in the group chat that I have with those two guys. And we'll just build from there. I'll tell them what to add. Like for example, the Melody Monster cover, the whole concept, the idea was my idea down to the little advertisements and the Who's Watching the Kid at the top of the bus, the Got Soul, like all of that. And just Manny will just bring it to life. Like we pretty much meet on the same level without he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then we'll just build it up from there. And we pass it to Oz, and Oz does all the freaky fonts and the animations and like any type of aesthetics that we need to it, he'll add over top of what Manny just did. And then I get the final, you know what I mean, yay or nay, and then just get presented to y'all.
That's another thing. Your cover arts have been unbelievable since day one, and that's sick. I have a different type of question here. Going back to 2017 on tour with Chris Travis, DJ Scheme, tell me a little bit about Tony F. Baby.
Hey, yo, I ain't heard that name in a minute. Yo, so we on tour with Scheme and all these guys, right? So Tony F. Baby, I don't even know where Tony came from. Tony was oh, okay. So it was a guy on tour with his name Eskimo. He was like an opener for us.
Yeah.
I think that's where Tony came from. They were like best friends on tour. So what story do I want to tell you? All right, so I'm gonna tell you the story about how Velly doesn't really smoke. For whatever reason, Velly's wilding out. Velly's wilding out today, right? He don't smoke, but we got edibles. So he's like, yo, fuck it, let me get an edible. I'm like, yo, these ones like 10 milligrams. He's like, fuck it, let me get an edible. He's like, all right, bet. So he eats an edible. He like, yeah, nah, we gotta do this for the can. We gotta do it for the can. I'm like, but you already ate it. He's like, nah, we gotta do it for the camera. We gotta do it for the camera. So I'm like, all right. Scheme starts recording them. And he's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, edibles, blah, 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 because we in Denver. I think we in Denver at this time. We're like, yeah, we in Colorado. He eats another edible. So we driving. And he's just in the front seat, just chilling. He like, yo, I'm supposed to feel like such and such. I'm supposed to feel this. I'm supposed to feel that. We're like, yeah, bro, that's regular. He like, and I'm hungry. So like he said he's mad hungry. So we pull over, we gotta get gas. He's sitting in the front seat and he's chilling. He hops out the car. I'd never seen anybody throw up and walk at the same time. He throws up all over his shoes, right? So, damn, I don't even know if I can tell this story about how Tony come in. So let's just say Tony's doing a substance that's foreign to be a villain. We're anybody in the hood. So we're like, yo, what are you doing? So he's like, bro, it's not that deep. This is that. Him and Belly get a full-blown argument. But it's one of the funniest arguments in the world because Belly's super high, but he's super serious. Yeah. And Tony's like super laid back. And he's like one of the funniest dudes I've ever been on tour with. Like I gotta reach out to Tony. He was always the one that just had the funniest. He'll pop in the room and just say the funniest shit.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, you made me die.
I forgot about. Okay, cool.
What is it like getting recognized by Tyreek Hill from your song Bodega?
Bro, that was like one of the most random things ever, bro. But his love, it just means that my music is getting around. You know what I mean? Whether it be word of mouth or a playlist, it means my name is in rooms that I'm not even in. And that's always a good feeling. And that's always a good thing. So if he heard it, you don't know who else heard it, just didn't post it, might already got it saved in their phone. It's been countless times where I've introduced myself to people who already know who I was, and it's just like been shocking. Like, wow, that's dope. So yeah, it's just a blessing and just something that I don't take for granted.
Yeah, definitely not, man. That's a really cool experience, and like I said, another milestone in your career. Two of my favorite bars right now. Well, one's old, but it's the most simple bar, but you just like delivered every single sentence so crazy, and it went so smoothly. You played Drake's old shit, J. Cole shit, Frank Ocean. Somehow you slid on that so smoothly, and I still don't understand it to this day. And then a new bar that you brought to the table. Don't tell me what you bring to the table when I brought the table. I thought that was like, you really stood your ground there, and you're like, I'm the Don, like I'm the guy. Like I brought this shit, don't tell me what you bring to the table. And I feel like that sometimes happens, when there's a lot of yes mans around that like, finally get called out, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I brought the table. Like, don't tell me what you brought, I
Right.
thought that was great. And I got two, sport questions. Audubon basketball courts, what does that mean to you?
Audubon basketball courts, that's where you really want to get a run in. So you'll go to Audubon if you really trying to if you're going to get a guaranteed 5-on-5 there. But that's one of those courts that if you get off, you might as well go home, because it's probably like 6 people that got next in front of you. It's one of them courts. It's like, yeah, you might as well either go home or go start another 5 on another court.
Exactly. And then thoughts on the Sixers this year?
Oh, so the Sixers going to win the championship only if, knock on wood, something happens to LeBron, because LeBron's my favorite player, but the Sixers definitely going to the finals. We're going to give you a good, smooth 6 games, and I'm going to be happy with that. But that's only if we go against the Lakers. If anybody else so happens to come out, then we're going to have a parade in Philly.
Hell yeah. And then I got 2 more last questions for you. Well, one's more of a, you can talk. But where do we go from Melody Monster? What's next for Mir Fontaine?
Right now, it's a couple of things that I want to get into. I could probably get right back into the music, but I know I want to work on like a Shorty story, short series, probably maybe like a 4-episode type thing. Put it on YouTube. Because like I said, I wanted to get into acting. I know a lot of people been asking for either a Camden 2 or Who's Watching the Kids 3. We'll see about that. I know I want to do a Macaroni Tony album, and what I mean by that is like an actual, like, when I think of Macaroni Tony, I think of like Georgia Peaches type sound, Prom Night. Just do a whole album on some funkadelic type, smooth, a little bit of like Fine, a little bit of Hannibal interlude type feel. It's a couple things that I want to really just get into, but we'll see, because it's just up in the air right now. Right now, I'm just enjoying that everybody's enjoying the album.
Dude, same. And I know you're going to be pushing Melody Monster. It's just a question I like to ask. And once again, Melody Monster is a great album.
Appreciate it.
That's another song too, though, was cool that shows your versatility. You went from, Camden and Macaroni Tony to Georgia Peaches. And I was like, dude, that is like unbelievable song. It popped off too. Did really, really well.
Right.
And now you're more than welcome to shout anybody out, Mir, anybody on your team, and, play, everyone go play Melody Monster for sure.
Definitely. Hey, huge shout out to everybody that helped me get this project going, everybody that been supporting me through this process. Shout out my boy Chris, shout out A-Rod, shout out Steve Levy, shout out Mike Zombie, shout out Camo the Great, shout out all the producers. I don't know why I just started naming them all, because now I got to remember them all. Shout out my boy Mir Pesos, you know what I mean? Make sure you go check his music out right now. Make sure y'all go let the world know that the original Up is stuck, you know what I mean? If you know, you know. Shout out everybody who's just been helping me through this process. Make sure y'all go stream Melody Monster, you know what I mean? One time just because here, shout out my boy Wildcard. Make sure y'all go check out Wildcard 103 too. Next up.